Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the ROI podcast. In the business world, that means return on investment. In our world, where me and Big Drew live, I'll talk to y'all here in just a minute with him. Where we live, that's called reliable opportunity investments. And so today I'm so excited because my man, who is usually behind the scenes, talking in my ear, teaching everybody how to do stuff, he's with me tonight. And I'm gonna just tell you straight up, this dude's my ride or die. He likes riding more than he likes dying. I will admit that, right? Right.
Mhm.
I think
Yep.
so, man. So, man, how
One
was your
die just got outlawed by the FDA, so
uh-huh.
that's one down.
Oh, red
Uh,
dye, that's right.
yeah, I'm like a bearded phoenix. I'm rising from the ashes. I've been behind,
Yes, sir.
been off the camera producing for however many episodes now, which has been really funny because I can say funny things in your ear that nobody else can
And I
hear.
can't I can't laugh or I can't do anything because I'm trying to be all serious and do a podcast. But what I love
Yeah.
about that tonight is if we want to be a little funny, we can kind of be ourselves tonight.
Hey,
So
listen, it's been since last year since we've done one of these, and
mhm.
I 2025 brand new Drew. So
Brand new
last year
Drew.
don't matter. Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about your holiday, man. Tell me what went down. I mean, I know you were like most people and you had a lot of stuff going on.
Oh man, yeah. Thanks. So I wasn't really here for some of the holiday episode or
Uh-huh.
the episodes you did around the holidays. Thanksgiving smoked a what did I do? Pulled pork or
Mm.
smoked a pork butt, which was pulled pork. Um I smoked it for a bunch of old white people, so I couldn't use seasoning. Which that broke my heart.
I know, man.
Uh, that broke my heart, but no, it turned out good. What was funny though was so somebody else was smoking the turkey. I'll let them take over on that one. Smoked the pork butt. It turned out great, but the way that I cooked it, like I said, I didn't add a lot of seasonings and stuff. I cooked it to where you could serve it, and I had a spicy sauce and a regular sauce, and everybody was like, it was really good. But then I also smoked a log of bologna,
Mm.
and I added some kick to it, and everybody was like, "Oh my gosh, that was phenomenal!" I'm like, well, so next year I'm just going to throw the seasoning to it, and
Well,
we'll
this bologna's award winning, man. I've heard a lot about it. I've never got to sample it, but tell them a little bit about how you take that thing and you really massage it down real good and make it. I mean, people think bologna is one thing, but I hear yours is incredible.
it's all about it's an art, but it's all about getting the seasoning up in them crevices. So the way that I do it is like, so I take the entire log of bologna and I score it, which if you guys are listening, you don't know what that is. You take a knife and you just run slits and like you rotate it, and I go all the way down, all the way around, and then sometimes I'll do vertical slits to where it makes like a hashtag or like squares, and then I slit the ends and stuff, and then so normally I will overnight. Well, no, so overnight I'll just like rub some mustard on it and throw it in the fridge, but then when I go to prep it, I do Mike's Hot Honey. I just rub the Mike's Hot Honey all over it.
Mm.
And then that the stickiness is where that seasoning comes from, but you get that kicks. But I do Mike's Hot Honey all over it, and then I'll do just a little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper, and then I do mustard powder. I really love Buddy's barbecue dry rub that you can buy at any local Buddy's barbecue restaurant. It's a real flexible seasoning, but I hit it with that. Sometimes I'll do a little slap your mama, a little Cajun, whatever. But I just hit it with the seasoning, a little bit of garlic powder, a little bit of onion powder, and then I just wrap it up and wrap it up in aluminum foil, throw it on, and then like I just eyeball it. Now sometimes I'll do the temp probe that way I can check to make sure it's already done. So it's a great if you get a smoker and you're not sure what to do bologna because it's already cooked. So just don't burn it.
Mhm.
But yeah, so but then like towards the end, once it starts to get a little color on the outside, I'll hit it with whatever barbecue sauce I want and wrap it again. And mwah, it'll be my wife doesn't even like bologna, but she will slam down some smoked bologna. It's great.
Man, that's good stuff right there. You
I
make
like
it. you're
smoked
just
cream cheese next.
yeah. Oh yeah, man. We like to do chicken thighs. Me and my
Mm,
daughter-in-law to be Allie. Man, we like to do chicken thighs because they got a little bit more. They're not like the chicken breast, but they're not like a wing. They're right kind of in the middle there, and they got a lot of good flavor on them. We do that. I use a little Tony Chachere's on them, and I'll usually put them in, let them smoke for a little while, and then I'll wrap them in some foil and put some sort of little sauce in there to kind of get that going. Man, I tell you
mhm.
what, holiday season really for us was super busy. You and I are busy as crap right now, man. I mean, you got other podcasts you're doing. I mean,
Yeah,
golly, I mean, it's just, I mean, we're relaxed right now sitting here. I mean,
yeah.
it's amazing to me that we can even sit here and do this right now because, I mean, tell me a
Well,
little bit about what you got going on. I mean, you did a men's conference and you done all kinds
yeah.
of crazy stuff, man.
So, we got through Christmas, did all that. That was, whatever came into this year, and I guess we're going to talk about some New Year's resolutions. For
Yeah, at some
me,
point. Yeah, at some
for
point.
me, I actually wait till the end of January because that gives you enough time for that holiday rush and all tax return, all that stuff to settle down. And I like to think about it on the New Year's resolution. But yeah, for me, I just try to be as active as I can in my church. My job doesn't always allow me to do that. My main job is in transportation,
Mhm.
the transportation industry. Um, that is about 40 to 50 ish hours. But in addition to that, besides being a dad with a newborn and a 5-year old husband and all that, try to be as active as I can in my church. My job doesn't permit me to go during the week, which I wish I could go a little bit more. But table leader at men's round tables on Sunday nights when we have them. Involved in Sunday school. Um, got another podcast that I do. It's more spiritual and faith
Mhm.
based.
Right.
Um, so we do that usually on Tuesday nights. We do this one on Thursday nights. Obviously, we have ROI. That's like a whole another side thing. And then I still have graphic design, video, branding, and marketing projects. And then, yeah, like you said, I another guy approached me, and he wanted to use my branding and marketing brain and graphic design and all that. And he approached me. He was wanting to do a men's conference, and so I ended up helping him with that. But then he brought me on board, and so I kind of became a part of the staff, or what do you call it? Not really board member, but like just
Mhm.
kind of like
Yeah,
a
sure.
consultant slash
Advisory.
whatever.
You're in an
Yeah.
advisory position. Yep.
And so we're like 50-50 on that. But yeah, and it's insane.
Then we
you
got the
know,
ROI conference coming up here local. We'll talk a
yes.
little bit more about in a little bit here. I mean, there's just so much going on.
B25. Yeah.
Yeah, B25 hashtag B25. We're just wide open. I mean, I got the business stuff going with staycating, and I'm onboarding new properties. I got this new cool property. I can't wait to show people. It's one of the coolest projects I've worked on in a long time. I mean, the owners are former hospitality people. He worked at Disney. He does a lot of things with themes. I mean, this property is going to be awesome. We're going to build our prime property blueprint, coaching around it a little bit. You and I've been talking a little bit about that behind the scenes.
Yeah, we've been working on some courses that we
Man, I
want to
can't
really.
I can't wait to see
Mm,
some of the coaching stuff that comes out this year. So
mhm.
really, I wanted to kind of roll into the new year. Like you said, you kind of put yours off a little bit because I think that's smart because I think there's so many people that maybe aren't ready at the beginning of January, so they'll peter out by about now. I mean, what is it? I'm looking at my calendar here. It's the I mean, we're basically halfway through the month today,
Mhm.
and so a lot of people they go and they set these really lofty goals, and it's like, well, I'm just going to drink water for 6 months, and
Mhm.
they make all these weird resolutions and things, and I think sometimes success looks different for me. It does for you. It does for everybody. I had somebody actually put that on a post I made the other day. They're like, success looks, different. It has many different ways that you look at it. But when I'm talking about being successful in 2025, feeling fully alive in 25 is kind of my thing I'm doing right now because, I
Fully
did decide,
alive and 25. I
yeah,
like that.
yeah, I
Yeah.
started, it comes from what's the band, Fully Alive. She's a little short.
Fully alive. That's
She's
Flyleaf. Yeah.
she can flyleaf, man. She can wail. Um,
Yeah.
you know, I just think sometimes that for us to be healthy and wealthy and stealthy, as I call it, we've got to have something behind that. And so the other day I saw something I sent to you, and it was really the negative side of what we're going to talk about today. It was like, if the enemy or Satan or someone came after you, what would they do to keep you from being successful? Well, I sat down and I was like, well, I want to be more positive in my life, so I wanted to just kind of turn that around and put it into, I've got basically 10 of them here tonight. We might get through them. We might not. We may have to do a second episode about this, but I mean, really, truthfully, I think everything that we do, and I think you'll agree, most of our listeners will agree. I mean, we don't, we're not pushing, doctrine and religion tonight, but we really think everything truly is grounded in your belief system and your belief
You want
structure.
me, you want me to read the negative
Yeah,
10?
read the negatives. That's kind of cool because I
So,
think that would be a good point for us to start with.
so the one that you sent to me, and honestly, I thought it was very impactful. But I agree with you on releasing the reversal of this. But so the post is, and again, we're not going to get like religious or spiritual or whatever. But the post says how Satan would stop success. He would, one, plant doubt. Two, encourage procrastination and distractions. Three, he would surround with negative influences. He would trap in constant comparison. He would instill fear of change. He would promote time wasting habits. He would foster conflict and isolation. He would push towards overwhelm and burnout. He would inflate pride and ego, and he would feed hopelessness.
Mm.
Um, and when you think about that, that's super impactful.
Hmm.
But and again, you could have posted that, but you being you,
Right.
um, you know, you wanted to flip that on the positive side, and I,
Hmm.
I like your list a lot better. As
Sure.
impactful as the negative list is, I like
Right.
the
Well,
the other one
I
better.
think the negative list really hits you where it's at, because I feel like so many times we're frustrated, we're living in fear, we're living in hopelessness, and I think sometimes the press feeds into that, society feeds into that, the government feeds into that, the social media feeds into that.
Hmm.
Our own friends and family feed into that. I mean, how many times we've been doing things, and our own parents, our own friends, our own family members are the first to tell us it can't be done. They're the
Hmm.
first ones to tell us that we're not good enough. And sometimes I feel like that, Satan could be the enemy. The enemy can be the enemy. I don't care what face the enemy wears. It could be anything from, just watching stuff on TV, listening to certain kinds of music, just kind of allowing yourself to be brought into this place of what I call darkness. And I
Sure.
lived in darkness for a long time. I mean, I really did. There was a time in my life, where I was. I was telling my son the other day, I was driving to get him from a friend's house. He was home from college for a couple of days, and he didn't want to drive up there, so he said, "Hey, Dad, can you come and get me?" And we had pretty good snow here, and
Hmm.
I was driving up the hill, and I put on the Kill Switch Engage, which is one of those bands I would listen to really a lot back in the day. And I
Yeah.
was telling him, I said, son, during times, sometimes for me, I embrace the chaos, because to me, when we are in fear and sometimes I just, it drives me, adversity drives me. I mean, but what about you? I mean, chaos and adversity sometimes can be a little overwhelming sometimes. I think we were kind of touching on that a little today, but I mean,
Yeah.
I use it for motivation.
Yeah. I mean, I think pressure is when things get done, and decisions get made. Like when you go through, the pressure cooker, you're either going to rise or you're going to fall. But, if there is no pressure, you're going to remain stagnant. It's just like when you throw something in the oven, it's not going to cook until you bring the temperature up. You can throw it in the oven and it's just going to sit there and eventually it's going to rot. No decision is still a decision. But,
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, I've found that, like, for me, I oftentimes do my best work when I'm pushed against a timeline or it starts getting uncomfortable. And it's funny, I believe we've talked about it, um, on this podcast before, but there's like a level of being busy and there's, you get busy, and then you get so busy you're stressed, and then you get even more busy that you don't even have time to stress or think about it. And that's kind of where we basically stay nowadays. We're just so busy we don't even have time to stop and think. But like, today, one of the, we were talking, and I said, yeah, today's one of those days where I let the intrusive thoughts think, kind of creep in, because it's like
Mhm.
this week's just been a weird week. I've got, with the snow and all the craziness and the whatever, and then it's like I did 3 podcasts. Work's been crazy. All this stuff's happening, but like, you know, in that pressure though is where I feel like I really hit my stride, and I think that for most people, if you want to be great at something, you have to be great in difficult decisions where most fail.
Mhm.
You have to be better and different. Like if you want to lead, we're not going to get into sports, but that's why a lot of people compare Jordan to LeBron. Jordan, and I mean, he was one of the greatest under pressure, and he wanted the ball. Everybody knew that the ball was going to him, and it made it happen. So I think that's kind of one of the what am I trying to say, like the secret sauces to
Your sauce, yeah.
success.
That's it. Yeah, so I'm going to go through my list real quick that I'm going to read it so everybody will get the whole gist of it. You can actually go on Facebook and see my post about this. For me, everything we just talked about kind of sums up number one. But I think when we're talking about, I mean, the show is about investments, for instance. We've actually talked about, making it a little more personable instead of less education. And each guest we bring on now, we're actually trying to get more personal with them and kind of get to where everybody lives, because anybody can go learn about things on the internet and Google things. But what we really try to do with this and this whole business of the ROI podcast, because we partnered on this, we decided as business partners that, I mean, we really got to start with ourselves, because that's the key to the whole thing. Is that so many people, they don't know their why behind why they're doing investing. They don't know their why behind, their relationships and building their brand and building out their business. I got people that come to me all the time. They're like, hey, I want to buy a property so I can make a lot of money. What they don't understand is that there has to be a why behind that. And so I feel like these 10 things that I've, actually went back and made a positive out of them. I think this is kind of where I want to start this year with the ROI thing. With, I mean, our networking event that's coming up, we're going to do that. We're going to have that come up this year in the, we were supposed to have an event last Friday and it got snowed out. But really what our goal is this year is to be a little more relational, is what I'm trying to say, and build around
Mhm.
that. So I'm going to read through these. I'm basically going to say how to succeed and build your dream life in 2025. Be
Yeah, those of
fully
you that's
alive
watching the
in 20.
video, we got it.
Yeah,
Those of you that's watching the video, I got it pulled up as well.
sure.
So
So I'm going to read it real quick. Believe in God and yourself. Again, don't want to get too religious, but I do think that we'll go in a little further with that one. Believe in God and yourself. Number two, act with urgency and consistency. Number three, build a positive network. Number four, comparison is the thief of joy. Number five, courage is facing the battle. Number six, opportunity or distraction. This is a biggie with us. This is one of
dude,
our,
we say this
yes,
so
we say this
much.
all
Yeah.
the time. Number seven, you're not alone. Number eight, recharge when overwhelmed. Number nine, help others with humility and kindness. Number 10, feed the fruits of the Spirit. Now, I just want to kind of go break some of those down there and just kind of talk a little bit about those right now, because I think we really have covered number one in all of this. I feel like there has to be a foundation where we live. Like I said, there's no atheists in foxholes. There's people, we have a belief in something. And I feel like sometimes that belief can be more than just religion, because a lot of people get stuck in this mindset of, well, he's just preaching at me. He's just trying to, he's just trying to be a religious zealot. He's trying to proselytize. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about a deep seated, rooted foundation of faith. And, you personally choose Christianity. Lots of other people may choose a different religion. I have friends in all kinds of faiths. Uh, I think that you have to trust the process and you have to trust yourself
Mhm.
because there's a lot of times I feel like when we're doing things, if we don't have faith in ourselves and faith in some sort of process and people around us to have that trust, then this is all for naught anyway. So let's jump to number two.
Yeah, I
I
mean,
feel like this is something.
is kind of P90X is kind of cold as well,
Yeah, yeah,
or
for sure.
what's the other one, the super high, workout,
CrossFit.
whatever. I mean, yeah, CrossFit, that's
Yeah,
another one
man. There's a
too, but,
lot of
like,
people that do that, and
you
that
know
I mean, those people will come find you at your house, from what I hear, if you if you don't
yeah,
show up or whatever.
yeah,
But
like, put a sock over your head and throw you in the van or whatever,
exactly.
but, yeah, like, I think, like you said, I think you have to have some kind of skeletal outline of some kind of beliefs,
Mhm.
system of like something that you wake out up and roll out of bed and live for.
Sure.
Believe in yourself, and then if it's God, your family, your health, your whatever, But yeah,
Yeah, you got to have something. There has to be a basis there. I think there has to be a foundation in which to work from. I think the second one is somewhere where most people, and I put a post about this the other day, there's a lot of talkers out there. There are not a
hmm
lot of doers. And I think so many times the reason for that is they have no urgency. They have no consistency in their life. And I find that, when chaos hits my life and when I'm not being successful, it's because I'm not acting with urgency. And I'm not saying just run around all the time being, you know, tore up about stuff all the time. I'm talking about really getting out there sometimes and saying to myself, okay, we'll talk about the distractions in a minute, but today I'm going to focus on these five things or these three things or this one thing and do it good and do it right. Because I think there's so many times that the urgency tries to get us and we see this thing that's such a big picture and we can't see it for what it is. That urgency becomes almost like um, fear, or it becomes it's almost like panic sets in. So when I talk about urgency and consistency, you know, I tell people to stop waiting for the right time. When I was really in my health journey before, I had no urgency. I had no consistency. I would be on a diet for 3 or 4 weeks and then I would be off of it. And I was looking at a video of me the other day driving around in my van, like 2016. Here I am talking like I am today, but you could hear my voice. You could just see how tired I was. You could just see all that. And so when I talk about urgency and consistency, we always get what I call uh, analysis by paralysis, where we're
hmm
analyzing things and we're trying to talk about things and we're trying to build things out and we're trying to build the plan and we're doing this. And, as I tell people all the time, much like you, I mean, we started the businesses that we started by just starting them, right? I mean,
yeah,
honestly, some of the things that we learn is sometimes best learned through trial and error. Sometimes the best decisions we've made have been when we decided to do it and fly the plane, and then just, build that plane as we're flying it.
yeah,
And so I'm not saying everything has to have a well laid out plan, but I think sometimes, so many times, I know I'm the same way. I want to do some new things in my business right now, and when I sit down, I get on Chat GPT and I'll type in this one little thing, and then I'll go down this rabbit hole, and it takes away my urgency. And I just think sometimes there's so many other distractions out there, social media, just so many things that just can distract us from what we really need to be doing. So in your life, I mean, what are some things that you sense urgency in right now in your life?
well, when I look at acts with urgency and consistency, to me, my urgency is my long term. Um, every day I wake up, I have a 5-year-old daughter that I'm thinking, okay, 13 years from now, she's going to be graduating high school. 11 years from now, she's going to be, driving. Um, you know, uh, 15 to 17, 18, 19, whatever years she's going to be getting married, and right now I'm blessed enough to be able to put food on the table, provide, so that, and my wife, she stays at home. She homeschools my 5-year-old. Obviously, she has a newborn. She takes care of the house, and then I go out and try to take care of everything else. But to me, my urgency is my long term. That's what I focus on every single day. That's the thing that keeps me up at night. Is I've got to retire for two people. I've got to retire for two people, and I got to build a legacy, as you always say, for really four people, not just myself. And so for me, the urgency is actually the long term goal, saving for retirement. Back when we were doing the Primerica thing, we learned how little people really save for retirement.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, so it's the long term goals that keep me consistent. That's why I grind and do so much. But like you said on the first one, if I just grinded all the time and focused on work all the time and I didn't have something bigger than me to be a part of, whether it's, fishing community, Jeep community, church, whatever, giving back to the community, whatever, then that weight and that pressure would just implode. So,
Mm-hmm. Right.
for me, the urgency is, you know, being able to build long term wealth, not just for me, but for my family, to be able to spend more time with my family, not miss stuff, not be so busy working for my family that I miss my family and my kids growing up. But to me, my urgency is my long term, and that's
Mm-hmm.
why I stay consistent every day
Right.
because of that urgency.
Mm-hmm. You pay the price now for the future, and so many people are not
Mhm.
willing to do that. Everybody wants to get rich now. Get rich quick schemes are out there everywhere. And so I think that, when you're talking about, just being consistent every day, I mean, to me, people think consistency is like 20 things. To me, sometimes consistency is doing one good thing a day, the same. You just getting something, a habit going, whether it's, waking up every morning and jumping straight out of bed and maybe, reading some sort of scripture or doing something in your life consistently every day. You're saying tomorrow morning you're thinking about, going somewhere and just getting away from it all,
Mhm.
and that's your consistency, your Friday morning time for yourself. For me,
Mhm.
that's the same thing. I try to do that usually on a Tuesday or Wednesday. I like to go and get alone, and I like to be consistent about it because there's times when I don't. It just drives me nuts, man. But
Yeah.
when you're building something though special, the urgency sometimes can be a long term thing, and it could be something right in front of you. And there's urgent things, but they're not important. There's urgent things sometimes that because someone else has done something, that doesn't necessarily make it a crisis on my part. So that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about being urgent in your daily routine, daily planning. Don't get all caught up in the little things all day long. Be have an urgency about everything you do, but remember to focus on the important things. I'm going to jump to the next one. Build a positive network. I'm gonna talk a minute about you, my friend, right here for just a second. You know,
Yes.
it's you're not an ego guy, I mean, but there's certain amount of
No.
this thing, man, that we got our event coming up here, but I just kind of want to talk a little bit. If you're watching this on on YouTube or whatever,
If
you're
you want to know how to build a positive network,
exactly how you build a positive network.
we'll get to
You know,
that later.
I think you've got to surround yourself with successful people, uplifting people, but I think the most important one is what I'm going to talk about for just a second. It's holding you accountable. I feel like there's a lot of times in my life, where I'm, and I think we work the same way there. There's times where you're going to hear things from me, and I always ask for permission. I always say, hey, can I say this? Or you'll say, hey, can I just level with you? Can I just be honest with you? And the thing about it is, I think there's so many people in our lives that are not out there for our good. And when you find people that are truly out there for your good, it really changes everything. I got a lot of people in my network, but I really have a core group of about 5 to 7 people that I really truly count on and trust. And that doesn't happen overnight. Like I said, we can't really calculate the first day we met as friends, but it's 12 to 13 years as best we can gather.
Hmm.
And over time, I don't know that friendship has ever faltered or failed. I know that you and I both have had some experiences with some folks, even recently, both of us, of people we thought we could trust and people that we thought we could, be friends with and be buddies with and do things with. But it's hard because sometimes I think we are looking for um, positive energy from people, and that's somebody to fluff our ego and pat us on the back all the time. And so when I look to you sometimes for that, I'm just like, I'll come to you with some harebrained idea, and you'll say, "Hey, have you thought that out?" And you maybe give me a different perspective that I hadn't thought about. And so when I'm looking for somebody to hold me accountable, I like that because I feel like your friendship, my friendship, even though there's a pretty good age gap between us,
Mhm.
I think most people discount youth or younger people. Some of the coolest kids that I met are right around the corner from me at Central High School. I went in and I taught 3 classes one day on branding and marketing and took them through the staycating model. And these kids were giving me feedback and advice and things. And so I feel like so many times, so many people are not succeeding because they're hanging out with the wrong people. And so, I just like to tell you sometimes, there's days, where it's like, it's just good to know somebody that you can trust. And I mean, I'm not going to, go too deep here, but it's good to have somebody that you can love and trust. And it's not like, it's not some sort of weird love. I mean, it's really truly
Mhm.
a brotherly love. The phileo is the Greek word for it. I think is how you pronounce that. It's where the Philadelphia comes from. It's kind of like, it's kind of like we always have what we call the bro code. I mean, you can explain a little bit about what we talk about. It's like the bro code as we call it, or the bro discount. We just, because we're friends, but we're also in business, there's a time where we've got to say, okay, I got to charge for this. And there's other times
Yeah,
where we're going to say, hey, this is a freebie, you know? And
yeah.
so I just wanted to say thank you today for that. There's so many people out there that, they just don't get it. And I feel like you get it. So I'm going to toss this over to you for just a minute. I mean, you know, what are you looking for in your network right now? I mean, we have each other and there's other people around us, but really truthfully, who are you looking for in your network right now?
Well, so, like you said, I mean, the thing is that everybody always talks about you are who you run with. I think the thing that people overlook oftentimes, you hear that you are who you run with, but what people don't fully grasp is I think you have people that inspire you, motivate you, push you further. And there's people that are weights that just drag you down. And like, yeah, you are who you run with currently. But when you look at the race, just you look at if there's 4 sprinters, that the other sprinter is still going. The slower that you go, the further you're falling back. But who you run with is how you're going to finish your race. How much further could you have made it without dead weight, right? And so like for me, 2025 is more going to be a year of not basing opinions on what people say, but basing my opinions on what they do and the action that they actually put with that. So, if somebody says, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna, you know, oh yeah, I'm gonna do this or I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna, you know, let's do this. Let's do lunch. It's more about for me like what's the follow through. You say you support me, you say you want to see me succeed, whatever, but like are you sharing my post? Are you, if I have a conference, are you going to buy a ticket? Are you, what are you doing to actually support me? And more